Welcome back to the Cricket Today podcast on Friday, January 5th. Excited for another huge weekend of cricket. I'm your host, Liam McAllion, also known as the Stats Guy. I'm here with Marcus Bazzano. The boys have got some fresh new mics and headphones. Looking pretty good today. Marcus, how you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Feeling somewhat semi-professional today. It's a bit of a change. I like it.
I know, it does feel pretty weird. And we've also got Leo Mullaly. He's practicing his how's that's and his appeals by testing the mics. Very good how's that, actually. I would have given it out. How you going, Leo?
Good, Stats Guy. I don't know if you would have made a good umpire if you were giving that out, but no, I'll take the compliment.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be a good umpire. I'd get too distracted, I think. Today, the cricket season is heating up, and so is this podcast with all things world cricket and a huge Aussie Test and BBL weekend. We're going to cover everything that's happened in the Big Bash overnight, some huge Big Bash matches over the weekend, and also some BBL SuperCoach, which I love talking about. Then we're going to look at some yeah nahs. Leo's cooked up some more tasty yeah nahs for us to talk about. And then the Australia-Pakistan match, which will continue and finish over the weekend with our test predictions. So let's get right into it, lads. We've got a bit of a BBL recap. Do you want to touch on something that happened overnight or yesterday, Leo?
Yeah, so I think it was about an hour before the game, Finch announced his retirement at the end of the BBL season.
Yeah.
Looks probably the right call. I still think he is good enough to be in this Renegades team, but that probably says more about the Renegades team than it does Finch.
True.
But yeah, so he's obviously been a fantastic cricketer for Australia for over a decade now. And yeah, I wish him nothing but the best in retirement. But then the game happened about an hour later, and the Renegades were 3 for 50 off 10. They were absolutely reeling.
Yep.
Cox Wells pulled it back really nicely, made the score somewhat competitive, but the Hurricanes just they really chased it with ease. It was a bit of a boring game, I'm not going to lie. Throughout those middle overs for both sides, not much was really happening.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those ones that you forget about it as soon as we finish this podcast, to be honest.
Nah, I couldn't agree more with that. I'm sad Finchy's gone for sure. That's more of the biggest story here. I think he's probably one of my favourite players of all time, especially in the short format. But yeah, he's been cooked this season. Just can't even get over that 100 strike rate, as we've mentioned the last couple of weeks. So that's a bit sad. But yeah, I think he's done. Marcus, who stood out for you in this one?
Oh, well, I think for the Renegades wise, it was a tough sort of deck for bat on for. I reckon probably in the first 10, 15 overs, only 2 players hit the middle of the bat.
I know.
It was pretty poor. Cox finished on 47, Wells 38, but Tim David only bowled the 1 over but got 1 for none. I don't know what he's doing only bowling 1 over. Did see our man Nikhil Chowdhury get some more overs despite getting hit for some more runs. So that was good for my SuperCoach at least because he didn't feature with the bat.
Yep.
But Sam Hain with a workman-like half-century, 51. And it was just an all-round good performance probably from the Hurricanes. Chased it down, I'd say with ease, but it was very controlled. They didn't look like ever probably losing that match. But I'll just touch on Aaron Finch. What a great short format career.
Yeah.
One of the best to ever do it. And I think although it was probably a couple of years too late, I can see him definitely going into coaching now that his career's ended as a player.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout out. He might even end up coaching the T20 team or something in the future because him and sort of Maxi are those 2 guys that are just really freak captains in the short format. So I wouldn't be surprised about that. I loved Sam Hain's innings as well. Marcus, he was awesome. 50. Like you said, they didn't have to take any risks. I think it was really smart. A lot of teams, even when chasing 140, 150, would take the risk, and they didn't take any risks at all, really. They were hitting along the ground, keeping it safe and trying to keep their wickets in hand, so that was really good. I'll quickly touch on Fergus O'Neill, Leo's mate, 2 for 25. I think it was a bit embarrassing, though, for the Gades that he was the only one that could take 2 wickets, and he was on debut. So I think he was really good. He got 2 bowled wickets for 25, but a lot of other guys, it's like Tom Rogers got smacked. Sampa only got the 1 wicket. I think in those sort of games, you need your experienced players to step up, and Renegades haven't done that all season. So that was not good by them, and I think it's going to be poor finish, as we said at the start of the season. All right, so that's it for the Gades. I'm just going to quickly touch on, like we touched on yesterday, that India-South Africa test match, because it's done. It's been one and a bit days. So I think it was 4 sessions of cricket. They've won the quickest test match of all time, 107 overs it was, 642 balls. They just had to make just 79 in the in the second innings, and it was just 4 sessions of cricket. What did you guys see about that?
Well, that was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Oh my God.
People were talking about should we cut the test matches down to 4 days. At this rate, we might have to cut it down to 3. But yeah, that was a crazy finish to that game, and I think it was India's first win at that ground in their 9th tour of South Africa. So
9th, geez, that's amazing.
Yeah, little milestone for them as well to come off with a win.
Yeah, what did you say about that, Leo? Anything else?
Well, one of the more remarkable things as well. So obviously, we mentioned yesterday India lost 6 for none. Off just out of nowhere, really. But then South Africa batted again, made 175, and Markram makes 106.
I forgot about that.
What is going on?
Oh, yeah, so you look at the scorecards.
It was off like a runner ball, and everyone else can't even hold their bat just a little bit to get a bit more of a competitive score. This game was wild.
It was. I was watching a few of the highlights this morning. Yeah, Markram, you're right. 106 off 103 balls. Then no one after that made more than 12. What the hell? Did Markram just close his eyes and have a swing? I was so confused.
What did Extra's second top score, did they?
Let me have a look. Where is Extras on here? I think Extras was 6, so it was about 4th, 5th top scorer of the Extras. So get around the Extras. It definitely would have. Let me check their first. Let's check India's. So we got Extras 24. That was the 4th top scorer for India as well. Extras was on fire in that match. But yeah, you're right, Leo. Markram will be absolutely filthy that they lost that one because he's like, boys, I put on 106 and what did they make? They only made about 230 odd for the whole match. So that's crazy. And one of the weirdest test matches you'll ever see, I reckon. So definitely had to touch on that one. All right, my favourite part, bit of BBL SuperCoach. There's 3 games over the weekend that we're going to touch on after this, but we're going to have a look at who do you think is a must-have for these games. We'll start with you, Leo.
Well, I'm loving the Stars this weekend, so I'm taking Maxi at 230,000. If you don't already have him in your team, then honestly, there might not even be a point getting him in because you're that bad at SuperCoach that you've missed the boat.
Call that.
He averages 87, SuperCoach that is, against the Sixers throughout his whole BBL career. And yeah, he's just coming off a huge couple of games. He got 251 off the double he had. He's just in fantastic form. Get him in. Yeah,
you got to agree with that, Leo. Maxi, you got to have him in your side. I know he's still a bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but he's absolutely tearing it up. Who are you going for this weekend in SuperCoach, Marcus?
Well, I'm looking at another Melbourne Stars player. His mate, the other match winner in the team, Marcus Stoinis. Although he's been underwhelming so far this season, that seen his price dropped all the way down to 92,500.
Yeah.
He scored 87 points against the Sixers at the MCG last season. And I just think with his innings on New Year's Eve, that'll build a little bit of confidence in him. And, you know, I can see him probably dominating this type of fixture, and who knows, he might even get a couple overs with ball in hand as well, and take a couple handy wickets, which adds some extra points for him as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's actually really cheap, 92. I know that he hasn't been very good. I'm still 50-50 on the Storm, but yeah, if he can replicate what he had last season, then that'd be awesome at the G. I'm going to go Tall Paul. I think he's been the cult hero. He's been absolutely awesome. Paul Walter for the Heat, 171,300, bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but he has a huge 5-round average of 86 points. Bowling out for the Heat each game, I think a few people were like, he might only bowl 2 or 3 overs and then come in for the slog at the end. But every game he's bowled out, and most games he has batted as well. So he comes in at the end, he usually goes around that 150 to 200 strike rate, which is perfect for SuperCoach. You get those extra points, even if he's making a quick 20 runs, which he did last game, where he had 23 off 12. And yeah, I think he's been awesome. He's had a couple of games where he's got 3 wickets. You'll see the aeroplane celebration. We thought we'd miss the aeroplane celebration with Rashid Khan, but then you got the Tall Paul aeroplane celebration out there, which is even better, I think. So I think you definitely got to have him in your side. He's probably one of the most informed, SuperCoach players at the moment, and just in general in BBL. All right, that was the SuperCoach. Let's have a look at the games over the weekend, starting with the Strikers versus Scorchers and our predictions. I think we might be very similar here, but who are you going with on this one, Leo?
Yeah, I'm on the Scorchers for this one. They played a couple of days ago in Perth, and Scorchers, well, it's really led by Laurie Evans, wasn't it, with the bat? So realistically, the other guys that they have that have been so consistent. All it takes is one or two of them to step up.
Yep.
In absence of, well, I know he's still playing, but in absence of Laurie Evans' performance, then they'll get the same result, right? So I think Scorchers win this.
Yep, agreed. What do you reckon, Marcus?
Yeah, I agree. I just think they got a better squad to boot, particularly or even with both bat and ball, to be honest.
Yep.
Although I do think Matt Short is going to have another good game for the Strikers. But if the Strikers are to win, I think Cameron Boyce is going to have a big say on it.
Yep. No, I agree with that. I think with the bat as well, I think the Strikers are relying too much on Matt Short. I know he's making big scores most games, and whereas the Scorchers, like you said, Leo, even if Laurie Evans doesn't make runs, you do expect one or two of the other guys like Hardy or a few of even the lower order, like Agar can hold a bat. They just bat so deep. So I got to lean towards the Scorchers here as well. Let's quickly go to the Stars versus Sixers. They played, I think it was last week, where the Stars actually won this one. Who are you going for in this one, Leo?
Yeah, as I said earlier in the podcast, I'm on the Stars this weekend. I think I just love their batting and their batting depth. Sixers, although they've been good, there's just there feels like there's maybe something off about them this year. I can't really tell what it is, but I just really like the Stars this weekend. They, in my opinion, they have more match winners and should be able to take out the Sixers on their home ground too.
Yep. Marcus?
Yeah, I agree with Leo. I think there is something off with the Sixers this season, even though they've gone over the line more often than not. I think that they've also almost been lucky in a sense to win a few of those games. So I think the Stars at home was a big influence in my decision for them to win.
Yep. I'm going to lean towards the Sixers. I know the Stars have been good the last couple of weeks, but I think they're going to bounce back, the Sixers. They're still third. They did, as you mentioned, they're not at their best, but I think we're being a bit harsh on them just because of their high standards. They're always first or second every year to the Scorchers. I think they're still going really well at third, but they definitely need a lift from their last game. I do worry for the Stars that they rely on those big names. But like you said, if those big names just keep winning the match for them, then it doesn't matter. But I'm going to lean towards the Sixers to bounce back. I think they're going to make a little charge into finals like they always do every year. They finish strong and can have a good finals campaign. So I'm going to lean towards the Sixers there. All right, last game of the weekend, the Heat versus the Hurricanes. This could actually be a really big game. So the Hurricanes probably need to hold on for a win for the finals, and then the Heat can win and hold on to the top spot, which would be pretty cool. So I think I'm going to start with Leo there. Who do you reckon in this one?
I'm going to tip the Heat in this one. I like the Hurricanes and sort of how they've played the last couple games against the Thunder and Renegades, but for me, they're sort of vying for that fifth spot, and I feel like they're a team that'll beat the teams below them.
Yeah,
and will show that like they did last night. But coming up against the Heat, who have been fantastic this year, they've proven me wrong that they might struggle. It's a test, and we'll see how they cope with it.
Yep, no, good call. What do you reckon, Marcus?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Leo. I think they'll beat the teams around them, like the Renegades and the Thunder, with no disrespect. But the Heat is a different quality opposition, especially at the Gabba as well. So pleasantly surprised by the Heat so far this season. If they want to finish top and secure that home finals all the way to the final, then they got to be winning these types of matches. So I'll back them in to do it again.
Yeah, I'm going to get on the Heat as well. I think that, as I mentioned, you got Tall Paul. He's been awesome. They've just got so many players that are T20 specific players. You sort of got a lot of other teams that have some one-day stars or some other sort of stars, some test stars even. But this Heat team is just full of guys that are traveling around the world playing T20 cricket for a living compared to any of the other formats, and that's what they solely concentrate on. You sort of see that with the Scorchers team where they've got so many T20 or white ball specific players that it's just been working a treat for them over the last few years, and the Heat, it's starting to click. They've just recruited really well, so I think the Heat are my pick here, and probably even my title pick. I think we said that as well, so I definitely want the Heat to win this one, and I think they can go all the way. All right, so that's our predictions for the weekend for the Big Bash. Let's have a look at Australia versus Pakistan, day 2 that finished yesterday. Pakistan, I'll get Leo to go through the scores if that's all right, please.
Yeah, so Australia continued batting yesterday, not for very long though. So they ended the day 2 for 116, Khawaja with 47. But then bad light and rain stopping play, which is another frustrating story to come out of the SCG test, and that sort of leads into the yeah nah. Should the New Year's test be moved from the SCG? What do you reckon, boys?
No, I don't think so. To be honest, I think I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to sporting tradition. So I think it should it should stay at New Year's Eve, the New Year's Eve test. But although it isn't great to see bad light, even bad light yesterday, I thought that was a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I heard one of the commentators say, like, I hope like some of my poos last longer than we did during this day's play, which is very, very relatable. But I don't know where I've gone there. But
yeah, you're digging yourself a hole, I reckon, but that's all right.
But no, I thought that was a bit of a joke. And I think there's a difference. They spoke on it as well. There's a difference between bad light and dangerous light. And I don't think that was dangerous. And even so, like, maybe even if it's bad light, do we move towards a pink ball, perhaps, if that makes it a little bit easier? Or I'm not sure what the lights around the ground, that situation sort of was either, whether you'll just be able to turn them on, or I don't know what the protocol sort of is there for a day test match. But
you're keeping it there.
I'm keeping it.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, I reckon we could move it. I had a look. I think you guys touched on it, but there's been 27 or 26 days that have been off for rain or anything in the Sydney test match, whereas all the other test matches have 9 or not even double figures. So I think, and that's always been at the New Year's test at that time. I don't know if changing it's going to change that, because Sydney has some weird weather sometimes, but maybe putting it at the start might mean it's going to be less rain. I'm not the meteorologist to tell you that, but I'll have to look into that for the next podcast. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it change. I think just every year I just get sick of, it's classic Sydney test. We're going to have a few days of this, few days of that. And then, as Marcus mentioned, I think bad light at 2:30 in the afternoon with the lights on, surely they could have played. It was a bit weird. It was just like classic Sydney test. That's not helping my argument. That's helping my argument going, they should get rid of it or move it. But I'm going to lean towards move it as well. What do you reckon, Leo, on that one?
Well, I said on the pod a couple of days ago that I like the idea of keeping it there, a bit more of a traditionalist vibe, but it is just frustrating, isn't it? When it's 2:30 and there's bad light. It's just not good for the game.
No.
And I saw Kane Corn say Test cricket is dead. First of all, Kane Corn should not have an opinion on Test cricket.
No. Does he know how to spell Test cricket?
Second of all, he's kind of right if stuff like this is happening. So let's sort of prove him wrong and actually try and change the SCG test in a way that keeps it there, but has it a bit more sustainable. Maybe they need a roof on the stadium. That might help.
Okay, Eddie Maguire.
if he's saying Test cricket's dying in Australia, he's completely wrong.
It's definitely, I think he meant the world as well, as in Pat Cummins talked about it as well. We could probably touch on that next week. Is to some of the other nations aren't following along and not going too well. So it is getting worse in certain areas, but it's still okay.
Yeah, like we've talked about on previous episodes, I think you were Waste That Sky, we talked about South Africa.
Yes.
And their decisions, particularly with their players. But I think, a lot of it'll still be very big along the major test countries. So you're looking at, obviously India, Pakistan, Australia, England. So who knows where we'll go?
Nah, that's all good. What about our predictions for the weekend for this test match, lads? Australia versus Pakistan. Obviously, Australia 2 for 116. So I'll start with you, Leo, for the weekend. What do you reckon is going to happen?
I think this will sort of phase out. The game will be, by the time we film on Monday, the game will obviously be done one way or another.
Yep.
I think it'll be a draw. Not just due to weather, but I've noticed the first couple of days there are a few balls that are keeping real low, and I just think this pitch is really going to die out. It's going to be very sort of boring, hard to take wickets on, and if batsmen sort of play straight and I guess not cop a roller that goes under the bat, I actually think it'll turn out to be better for batting. But I think, happy to be proven wrong. I'd love to see a result, but I don't think we're going to get one.
Fair enough. Marcus, what do you reckon?
Well, I'm going to change my call, my prediction of what's on the run sheet there.
Okay.
I was going to focus on David Warner, but I'm going to focus more on the Pakistan fielding for the remainder of this Test match, because another absolute dolly dropped in the slips.
Horrible.
Yesterday it was David Warner, wasn't it? They could have got out.
Yep.
I'm going to say that Pakistan are going to drop another at least 2 catches for the remainder of this Test match.
Oh, I think that's unders. I reckon it could be about 5. They are so bad in the field. You got guys diving over the ball. Literally, that's probably the worst drop catch I've ever seen in that first slip. I think it was the debutant. I don't know why they've got a debutant in first slip. He's probably shaken as he's in first slip after that duck he got. So I don't know what's going on with Pakistan. I think a lot of countries need to practice their fielding a little bit more. I'm going to go the Aussies to win. I think we can grind out a win. I know, as Leo mentioned, it might be a bit tough, but I think they can. I think Nathan Lyon's going to have a huge second innings of 5+ wickets. As Leo mentioned, pitch is deteriorating a bit. I think the spin and those lower bouncing ones, Nathan Lyon's going to clean up and get a 5-fer. Saeed, I said, was solid for Pakistan as a spinner. If Saeed can sort of look solid for Pakistan, then you got Nathan Lyon, who's on another level. That's when this pitch is going to get worse. I think he's going to absolutely tear it up. So I'm expecting Gaz, the GOAT, to tear it up. And actually, I was going to say still on my Christmas tree, but I don't think it's up anymore. So yeah, keen to watch him tear it up for the weekend. And I think that's it, lads. That was another good show. So that's it for cricket today. We'll be back with this on Monday when the Test is over. A huge BBL weekend wrap and a Test match wrap there. So get right around the show. Subscribe on your podcast apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Like and review it, would ya? Chuck a follow to Cricket Today and Cricket Today AU all over the socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Send in any questions via the socials. Anything you want us to chat to us about. Leo just mentioned that someone said I look like Glenn Maxwell. I think I got the hair for it, but as in I'm very hairy like him, but I don't think I've got anything else related to Glenn Maxwell. So yeah, any funny comments like that, we're all for. And I think that's it. Thank you, Marcus.
Thanks, Stats Guy.
Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Stats Guy.
And thanks, Gerald, for producing. Thanks to me. And that's another episode of Cricket Today done. We're out.